So today, my entire session is going to be about one thing, and that is commenting, because commenting is the new content. That's my catchphrase for today. Commenting is the new content in 2023. And I don't feel that people really understand enough how commenting can drive your authority, your visibility, your relationships, your networking, your followers. It's just one of those things that's very overlooked on this platform. So that's what we're going to focus on today. And yes, I have an entire half an hour's worth of content on the topic of commenting, or some people call it engagement. So that's the topic for today. I'm going to be sharing some slides. I'm going to be diving into the newsfeed as well. But this is such an important topic right now to really understand how you can massively, like at speed, grow your audience. So for those of you who have never seen me speak before, I'm Sam Rattling. So I'm a LinkedIn platform specialist. I also do a lot of work in the Sales Navigator environment, and I'm all about social selling and helping people to really understand how to get results from this platform. Just for the new people here today, we do have a Q&A box inside the Zoom area. So if you do have a specific question that you'd like me to ask at the end, it could be about what I talk about today, or it could be about anything to do with LinkedIn and social selling. Please feel free to use that Q&A box there. If you are, I may ask you to interact in a poll, and I may ask you to interact in the chat box. So please feel free to do so. So let's get started. I'm excited about this one. So let's talk about commenting, because for me, commenting is the new content in 2023. So today is going to be all about how to create and leverage comments to build your authority, gain massive visibility, and grow your followers at speed. Now, you will have noticed that there's been a few changes on the LinkedIn algorithm. The platform is definitely changing, and there's lots of different things happening, and it's very hard to keep up with what's happening in the LinkedIn environment. So I'm going to start with this. Why would you even bother with commenting? Well, for me, there's a massive part of this is that to get business from LinkedIn, you've got to be visible on this platform. And one of the great ways to get visible, which is the V in this equation, is to be commenting on other people's posts. So visibility is super important. And one of the best ways to get visibility right now is to be engaging with the newsfeed. The other part of commenting, and not just putting great post or putting some really basic comment on a post, is you can massively build your credibility when you comment on other people's posts. So let's say you've got some additional kind of tips or advice that you could add on to someone's existing post. That's a good way to build your authority. So treating a comment like it's a piece of content is going to create your credibility around a topic that you have some authority on. And when you have visibility and credibility at play, that's going to lead to opportunities. Comments in the newsfeed drive discussions in the inbox. Comments on the newsfeed drive discussions underneath a post and get you even more visibility. So I did this yesterday on a post, and I received yesterday 50 inbound connection requests from one comment that I left on one CEO's profile. And I'm going to talk to you about the strategies as to how to do that. But that's 50 new people that I didn't have to work for that are now following my content. And I've now got a conversation happening with 2 of them at the moment, all off the back of one comment that took me less than 20 seconds to write yesterday on a post that has gone viral. Now, I didn't know the post at the time was going to go viral. I had a sense that it might, but if you can put an early comment onto a post that's going to perform well, your brand and visibility can be very high. And if you post something that's also suitable to that post and adds credibility to your post and their post, then it's going to lead to other opportunities. So that's one of the reasons that commenting is so important. Now, I wrote this morning, but for me, commenting is the new content in 2023. Post reach, you will have noticed this, is at its lowest for years. So if you are posting at the moment and you're not seeing massive engagement or huge amounts of impressions, comment reach right now is higher than it's ever been. So posting content on the newsfeed is at its lowest, comment reach is at its highest. Comments can help you build authority, help you build relationships, and build your audience at speed. And if you aren't commenting on LinkedIn right now, you are invisible. right? So you might want to have a think about your current strategy when it comes to how much time are you investing in commenting versus creating content that's not going to be seen by hardly anybody because the algorithm is doing its thing. So I've got a little poll. I thought I'd ask this question. I usually do a poll for those of you here for the first time. I launch a poll normally. There's only 2 questions today. For those of you watching on YouTube, you can answer underneath in the comments. But I'd like to know what your commenting habits are currently. Okay, so the first question is, how many comments a day do you leave on other people's posts? Number 1 is I hardly ever comment. 1 to 10, 11 to 30, or more than 30 a day. So I'm just curious to know what your current habits are. And the second one is, if you do comment, who do you mainly leave comments for? So is it just people you know, your mates? Is it clients, prospects? Whenever you happen to get inspired by something, or a combination of all of the above. So let's have a look at what's coming through. Let's have a look. I'll just give it another 30 seconds till about over 80% of you have answered. So don't be shy. It's an anonymous poll, by the way, so feel free to choose your answers. Right, we've got about 80% of you now. So I'm just going to end the poll. Let the last couple come through. Okay, good. And I'm actually just going to share the results with you. For those of you watching on YouTube, I'll read it out. So the answers to the first question, how many comments a day are you leaving? 42% of the live audience here hardly ever comment. Wow, like that like this is going to be a game changer for you guys that are hardly ever commenting right now. The rest of you 1 to 10, so 58%. So none of you are leaving more than 10 comments a day. Now that sounds like a lot of work, but how much effort and work are you putting into creating a carousel or creating content or thinking about content? This right here is one of the easiest wins for you to get even more visibility on your brand. Secondly, who do you mainly leave comments for? And 42% of you are saying a combination of the above. 27% only people I know, right? What is the point of that? They already know you, right? You already know them. Yes, it's good to support your mates. I get it. But is that helping you to make money from LinkedIn? Probably not. Only 4% of you are commenting on your clients' posts. Like, wow, this is quite a revealing poll, actually. Prospects, only 8%, and 19% of you when you're inspired. So I think this is quite revealing about the lack of understanding of how powerful this one thing, this one piece that you can do, is going to transform what's happening with your LinkedIn visibility. So whose post can you comment on? So I'm going to go through a few different options that you have in terms of who you can comment on. So first off, the most obvious one, and only 4% of the audience is doing this. So the other 96% of you, why are you not commenting on your clients' posts? Like, support your customers. Everybody is craving engagement on their posts at the moment, right? The post reach is on the floor. So you be the one to comment on your clients' posts. Like, it depends how many clients you have, of course, but not all of them are going to be posting, and not all of them are going to be posting regularly. So I highly, highly recommend, can't even stress this enough, that you comment on the posts of clients that you work with. Now, this is the one the majority of you are doing. So people that you know, mates, people in your network, people that you've maybe already got business relationships with, still do that. But I wouldn't invest as much time in some of the, as you would in some of the other ones. This is a biggie. Prospects who are in your pipeline. Now, depending on the type of business you're in and the length of sales cycle that you have, like I have quite lengthy sales cycles in my corporate work. I've got one client that's about to close, fingers crossed, this week. And I've been talking to them since November. But since November, I have been proactively commenting, liking, engaging on the posts of my main contact in there, but also other people in the business that I know influence the decision about whether or not to work with me. So we built this really good relationship, and she'll always post and comment on my posts, and I'll always comment and post on hers. And we aren't even doing business with each other yet, but I want to support my prospects because that's a nice thing to do. And if you are in a bidding process, or you're being selected from a range of different competitors to you, and you're the one that's engaging with their post, you're the one that's supporting the work that they're doing, you're the one that's all over their company page plus their personal posts, like prospects in your pipeline are a really, really good source of people to comment on, because it will help build that relationship and nurture that through the pipeline whilst it's still in process. Big one is your ideal clients. So these are not people you're currently working with, but this is the people you really want to do business with. So think about your target audience. Think about the type of clients that you want to work with. Are you, number one, putting them into your network? There was another video done on building your network earlier in the month, so feel free to go check out that video on my YouTube channel. But think about, like, if you were commenting every day on 5 to 10 people who fit your ideal client profile, by commenting on their posts, you get on their radar. You are getting yourself visible with people that you could potentially do business with. And because you're engaging with their posts, guess what? They're more likely to see your post show up in the newsfeed. So if you're not actively commenting on ideal clients that you would like to do business with, you're missing an opportunity. Now, top creators, none of you in that poll said you were commenting on top creator posts, right? So there is a new kind of influence scale. There's a new company come out of the woodwork in the last couple of years called Favicon, and they have something called the top 200 global creators. You might see some of them in the newsfeed. Typically, their posts go very viral, but I'm going to show you in a second how you can go find out the top 200 creators in the world on LinkedIn. But also you can filter that information, if you are a paying customer, by top UK creators or top small business creators or top marketing creators. So there is lots out there of information to find these people who are the top creators in terms of the influence scale. So they're getting the most engagement. They haven't necessarily always got the highest number of followers, but they get lots and lots of engagement on their posts. So if you are one of the first people to jump onto one of their posts, you will get massive visibility when that post then goes viral, subject to what you comment on. The one on the right here that you see, Harriet, you'll see on her profile, just underneath her professional headline, there's a little box that says LinkedIn Top Voice. You might see this on some people's profiles, but the way you can find these people is just simply to do a search and type in LinkedIn Top Voice. Majority of the people that have been voted by LinkedIn as a top voice on their particular subject have obviously got that on their profile somewhere. So they either have it in their professional headline like Harriet does, but you can also see that little box there, and you'll know that they're a top voice because instead of having a gold LinkedIn logo like people who pay for LinkedIn have, you'll see a blue colored LinkedIn logo. It's almost like a verification logo to say that they've got a badge that they are a top LinkedIn voice. Typically they have quite a lot of followers because they're a top LinkedIn voice. But they are good people to follow, and they're actively posting on the newsfeed. And again, if you can be in first on some of those people's posts, it will help you from a commenting perspective. For those of you with the team, obviously support your colleagues. If your colleagues are posting regularly, you want to be commenting on their posts to help them. Suppliers, what about them? Like, let's not forget them. You are their customer. But a supplier will always want to support you back because you are their client. So if you do have suppliers in your business that you're working with, then they can be a really good source of post to comment on. And I'm just going to show you the top part of the LinkedIn creators on Favicon. So you can go search up Favicon. I'll show you in just a second, but you can see here that it's got different categories. This is the social media category globally. So Justin Welsh is the top LinkedIn creator according to Favicon worldwide. Yasmin Alec, many of you probably follow him on the newsfeed, etc. So these are people that have got, you can see on the right hand side how many followers they have on different platforms, but their authority ranking here. Now, Favicon, I believe, is still in beta test mode, so I think you can get in on Favicon quite early at the moment, but they have just done a big product launch, so there may be I got in free, but you may not be able to get in free. I'm not sure what stage they're at the moment. There is a paid version and there is a free version. Yeah, absolutely, Felicity. His posts are amazing, but he comments without fail, just to give you an idea, 100 times a day. He puts out 100 comments a day on the newsfeed, but he's also a top LinkedIn creator. So that tells you if he's a top LinkedIn creator, he treats commenting as much or as high a priority than his own content. 100 comments a day. And you might be thinking, wow, that sounds like a lot, but he does have specific strategies to be able to do that. So For example, he will choose a theme for his comments for the day. So it might be a pros and cons type comment. It might be one that's got emojis in it. It might be a features and benefits one. Like there's lots of different styles that he talks about in terms of commenting. But if you just stick to that one style for the day, you haven't got to think every time you've got to post a comment. You're like, okay, on this post, I'm going to do, a pros and cons comment, for example. So that tells you how much these creators, some of them have come out of nowhere. Like a year ago, some of them didn't even exist on the LinkedIn platform. And so I'm talking about Yasmin, the number 2 there. He's in second place there. So he's the one that does 100 comments a day. Now, you might be thinking, like, how do I even find out about these people? How do I know, like, what they're posting, things like that? So I'm going to get you to understand kind of how you do that. So one of the easiest ways is to find the top creators that you want to post about, or your top clients or prospects in your pipeline. And the easiest thing to do is go ring the bell on their LinkedIn profile, and you can click it a couple of times and it will allow you to choose all notifications. So if you do want to be notified about posts that have been created early, as in when they hit the publish button, you get a notification saying this person's just posted, so that you can be early in the commenting section, which is one of the tricks to doing this. Then you want to be ringing the bell on their profile. You do need to be following them. You don't have to be connected. So a lot of the creators that I'm talking about already are maxed out at 30,000 connections. I'm almost maxed out at 30,000 connections, but I can have multiple million followers. So you can still ring the bell. So if you wanted to follow Stephen Bartlett, or you wanted to ring the bell on Stephen Bartlett, for example, you can go ring the bell on his profile, get notified every time he posts. Same with Gary Vaynerchuk, Bill Gates, whoever it is, Richard Branson, whoever you want to be on the radar of, and you love their posts, or from the list of people that I just suggested that you should be commenting on, go ring the bell on their profile. And that's very simple to do. You just go to someone's profile, just under that header image where they've got their kind of rectangular image, just underneath there on the right hand side there is a bell, and you can click it, and in the bottom left hand corner on desktop it will tell you, are you just seeing some of their posts or all of their posts? Now if you have specific questions, then you can put them in the Q&A. I've seen a few starting to come through. There are some questions I see in the chat box, so if you could move them across into the Q&A, that would be amazing, and I'll get to those in a bit. So there are 8 types of comments. Now, this is just what I've come up with in terms of what I'm seeing, what's working, how I'm doing it, how other people I know that are doing this well are using it. So the first type of comment, I'm actually just going to stop sharing because I don't have any slides for this. It's better for me to just talk. So the first type of comment is a supportive comment. Okay. So this is where you read a post that someone has put out there and you want to support and empathize with what they've shared. So for example, it could be that someone's put quite a personal post out there. Maybe it's about a cause or something that's quite close to your heart. And you want to support whatever it is that they are saying. So showing some empathy. Maybe you've got a story that resonates with that person. So for example, if I posted about sobriety, I'm coming up for my 6 months sober, I'm going to be doing a post about that. The comments I expect to get under there will be a combination of both supportive and empathy, and people sharing their story essentially. And if I see other people posting about their sobriety journey, I put a supportive comment underneath. So that's a type of comment that you can use. So that's type number 1. Type number 2 is not for everyone. It's not for the faint-hearted, but if you do this well and in a respectful way, you can get humongous amounts of visibility in your brand. And a good example of this is our CEO, Nicholas Jones. If you're not following Nick, ring the bell on his profile. He puts out some amazing content about business advice, life experience, etc. So Nicholas Jones of Pipeline 44, he is a master at polarizing comments, right? So this is where you fundamentally disagree with the post that somebody's put out. So he thinks that there's a lot of drivel out there about leadership advice and business advice, and he will quite openly go onto someone else's post and put an alternative view backed up by his experience and his credibility. So he's not doing it just to rile somebody or rile the news feed. What he's doing is he's showcasing his credibility by fundamentally putting a polarizing opinion on someone else's post. He does it quite the other way around as well. So sometimes when he posts something, he might trigger somebody to put a massively polarizing thing underneath. He did it this week. He did a quite controversial post about poor people being lazy, and it triggered quite a few people. So there was a few comments in the post that fundamentally like disagreed with him with quite strong language. But those posts and those comments got lots and lots of visibility, out, as did his post. So polarizing comments are not for the faint-hearted. If you're going to put a polarizing post, it's not about having an argument on the newsfeed, because remember, it's your digital reputation, but you do want to put an alternative view, and you'll usually get quite a lot of reactions to your comments. Next one is a funny comment. So using humor is a good one underneath. It triggers lots of funny reactions, etc. So for those of you who are comedians out there or have a good sense of humor, quite often you can put some funny comments underneath, and again, it will usually get lots of reactions. So supportive, polarizing, humor, or funny. The next one is an insightful comment. So this is where you almost treat your comment like another piece of content. I would dedicate as much time and energy to an insightful comment as I would to an actual piece of content that I was writing. So here's an example. Tracy Bedwell, who's one of my clients, I'm working with her. We're referral partners for each other. She's in my masterclass at the moment, my Sales Navigator masterclass. She did a post the other day off the back of my training about LinkedIn recommendations. And she did a great post. And I added a comment underneath, which was probably 7 or 8 paragraphs, giving additional advice and tips on top of what she had already posted about recommendations. So I gave some advice and insightful advice about the 7 different questions you could ask, or the ways to structure a LinkedIn recommendation. And it got lots of comments and lots of reactions underneath, and it was posted underneath her post. So I wasn't disrespecting her post. I totally agreed with what she said, and I backed up what she was saying because everything she wrote was correct. But I just gave some additional advice underneath, which was deemed insightful by other people that were following that post. Credibility comment, kind of the same thing, but something insightful would be like, here's some additional like insights to that post that's already there. A credibility comment is purely about just stamping your authority on something. So it could be some kind of power quote that you put underneath. It could be that you're linking out to something else. So I did a post the other day, or I commented the other day on something, someone had tagged me in a post, but to build my credibility underneath it, I provided lots of free resources, some links to some articles that were relevant to that particular post, and basically just stamped my authority and my credibility over that post. But I wasn't the person that created it, it was all in the comments. So how can you create credibility through a comment? Another example, we've got a client who is a CEO mentor. She had never engaged on the newsfeed. She started doing this engagement strategy, started out like 5 comments a day, but she posted a comment on the CEO of one of the top kind of organizations. I'm not going to say who it is because she's now working with them, so I can't. But a CEO of like a very large public organization in the UK. He then replied underneath her comment, and they started a discussion on the newsfeed, which then moved into the inbox. And then she actually landed him as a client, as a CEO client. She was punching above her weight. It was not the typical kind of CEO she will work with, but she landed that business because of the comment that she left on his post. If you're not commenting, you are missing a trick and you are leaving money on the table. Next one, comments on comments. So the posts or the comments that get higher up in the news, higher up in the post section, so that all the comments underneath, if there are 15, 20 kind of comment, reply backs to other comments, that particular comment is going to move further up to the top, especially on a viral post. This is quite important. So comment on comments. You can do that on your own post, but also do it on other people's posts as well. So a good one for this is to ask the author of the original post a question and tag them in the comment. And then by doing that, they're more likely to see your comment, so you get visibility with that creator, and they might reply underneath to your question, and then you can continue the conversation, which pushes your brand higher up into that comment thread. And the final one is share the love. So if you see a post that you know someone in your network would love or would have really good insight on, tag other people into the comment section of another person's post so that they get more visibility and you can draw other people from your network into the conversation. So just to recap, supportive comments, polarizing comments, funny comments, insightful comments, credibility comments, comment on comments, positivity comments, and share the love. They're the 8 different types of comments that you can leave on other people's posts. So I'm just conscious of time. I'm happy to answer questions, but give me an emoji in the chat box if you found that helpful. Any emoji of choice would be good. Hopefully this is a topic that you guys are like, whoa, I'm really not doing enough on this. Okay, thanks, Felicity. Nice smiley face. Amazing. Good. Okay, perfect. Fantastic. Right, so let's have a look at the questions I've got here. So Steve, you've said, when should we follow and when should we connect? I don't know the difference. Okay, so a connection, so when you make a connection with somebody and you invite them to connect, and then you become first degree connections, that means that you see their content, they see your contents, and you can message each other, right? So you actually are connected to each other at the first degree. If you are following somebody, you will see their content, but they won't see yours. So you have to be connections in order for it to be a two-way street. And the following, and a lot of people have maxed out, especially the top creators, they've got more than 30,000 connections, just like I'm about to hit. So you can only follow in some cases. So it's your choice whether or not you want to connect with them as well. Quite often follow first and then connect can be a good strategy as well. How much difference does tagging make and how do you do it? So Zeb, tagging somebody in the comments, all you do is you use the @ sign, like I'll put it in the chat box here. So if I wanted to tag Nicholas Jones in one of my comments, I would just literally type in the @ sign, and then I would type the person's name and it would make it bold in the comments, and then they would be able to, they'd get notified that they've been tagged, etc. So that's how you tag somebody in the post. You can tag people in your actual post, or you can tag them in the comments as well. Susan, you said, how do you get Favicon especially free? Now, I've just seen in the chat box there that somebody has actually gone and registered for the beta version of it. So I think David Rothwell had just gone over to. David, can you just type yes if you were able to sign up for free on Favicon? Let me just check the link there. I'll grab the link over here so that you guys have got it. I think it's still in beta mode at the moment. So let's go here. I'll grab the link. For those of you watching on YouTube on the replay, I will pop I think that's it there. Okay, Linda, you've said how many hashtags are a good rule of thumb? I'm hearing various numbers. Yeah, this changes all the time, but based on the most recent kind of algorithm reports that are done by some of the other LinkedIn experts out there, hashtags actually aren't making a massive difference to posts. And in fact, if you look at majority of the top creators, like I've just gone through the 200 top creators, they actually don't use many hashtags at all. So it's more from an indexing perspective, more than actually getting massive reach. I use hashtags the other way around. So rather than, I do usually put some of them in my posts, especially ones that I use in my creator mode kind of talks about section. But it can be a good way for you to find good content to comment on. So if you're particularly passionate about diversity and inclusion or leadership, or a particular topic that you champion, you could go search that hashtag and then find posts that are about that topic. And then you can use the commenting strategy I've just given you to get visible on other people's posts that are talking about that particular topic. But in terms of numbers, like no more than 5. Like 2 to 5 is really kind of the sweet spot at the moment, but they don't seem to be making a massive difference to reach on posts at the moment. Let's have a look. Answer live. Okay, good. Let's have a look here. Favicon, yes. So I'm just going to go over to Favicon so you can, let me have a look. So in the beta test mode, you've got the option to kind of see the top 200 creators. It does give you some analytics about your content, things like that. So it does give you some analytics about your own influence levels, etc. But if you want to go over and have a look at it, feel free to. I'm not going to spend a lot of time on it because you can go and obviously just go sign up and go have a look around. But every month there is a new top creators list that comes out. And, you know, it's good to follow what these people are doing because you'll get good insights as to the type of things that are working and not working. And thanks, Helen. I know I've run over by like 2 minutes, but I always say, like, I'm going to deliver the content. And if you've still got questions, I'll stay for as long as you guys want me to stay. So, okay, good. No, Steve, you've said, can you only tag your contacts? No, you can tag other people that you don't follow. So let's say you've read a book and you want to do a post about that particular book, or a podcast that you've listened to and you're not connected to the author, you can tag that person in the post and add that tag even if you're not connected. How many times a day would you check and monitor engagement? So I would probably, Daniel, from so engagement from your own posts, or I'm just asking for clarification on the question. So are you asking about how many times a day should you check for engagement on your own posts, or are you asking how many times you should be engaging, like in general, like in terms of the commenting we've talked about today? Maybe just use the chat box for me so I can get clarification on that. Let me just see here. Just going through the other questions. From your own post. Okay. So the first thing is I'll redo the question for you, right? So how many times should you be checking engagement on one of the posts that you've created? So first thing I would say is you don't want to post and ghost. You want to post and babysit that post for at least the first hour. So what happens in the first hour dictates what happens to that post beyond the first hour, essentially. So you want to be looking at it, seeing the comments. So I wouldn't post and then go onto a Zoom meeting, or post and go pick up the kids from school. I would be posting, and then if you get a comment underneath, I would then be commenting back, maybe asking a question, driving discussion, because the algorithm is looking, are people actually interacting with this post? It will initially show the post to about 1 to 2% of your network. If there's no reactions, no comments within the first like 15, 20 minutes, it's not going to get much visibility. So if it goes, if it starts getting traction and then you're commenting back, that will help the algorithm. So I would then, I actually don't necessarily, after the first hour, I might leave it for a few hours and then come back. And typically I might leave it for a couple of days to keep it going for longer, and then come back again in a couple of days' time, and then go back and answer all the comments of all the comment on the comments. And then that drives the post again back onto the newsfeed. So the first hour is critical. I check it again maybe later in the day, and then I'd leave it for a day and then go back in on the following day and just reignite the post, essentially. Okay. Manzi, is it okay to post twice a day? Yes, it's absolutely fine to post twice a day. It's not an issue at all. You're not going to damage the content or the reach of that post by posting twice a day at the moment. That could of course change over time, but at the minute it's absolutely fine to be posting twice a day. I recommend a minimum of 3 times a week, but if you're going to invest time in posting twice a day, and if you're not seeing much traction from your post, you might want to go, well, I'll post 1 a day, and I'll take the time that I would have spent creating that second post and invest it into commenting and see what happens. I'll do one more question, and then I'm going to get you guys to share what you've taken away from today's session in the comments. So the final question is from Steve. Is there an ideal time? Is there an ideal time to post for the UK market? Test and measure, Steve. So everybody's target market is different. Personally, I find first thing in the morning early, last thing at night also good. That's when people are bored and on their phones or checking their phones. I have a combination of different target markets. So my corporate enterprise clients are typically online on LinkedIn in the daytime, but then entrepreneurs are on it when they're bored, at home 24/7. Honestly, I'd focus more on the quality of the post and the engagement of the post rather than what time of day to post it. And try out different things. Everyone's networks are different, right? So I would test it for a week at like 2 set times in the week, and then see how that performs, and have a look at it again. Felicity, I know you've said there are no females in the top Favicon top 10 globally. I know that, and I'm very, very disappointed that that isn't the case. There are That's in the social media one, but globally across the whole of LinkedIn, there's a couple of really top creators that are female. So there are lots of different categories, but yeah, it's totally time to change that for sure. Yeah, some of them are celebrities, but you know, it's when you're competing against like people with like huge audiences, like, you know, podcasts that get downloaded millions of times, is kind of tricky. But there are some other other top creator menus or categories that are for the less well-known people, if that makes sense. So there's like small business creators, there's like up and coming rising stars. You know, a lot of these people that are in these lists are literally like, they've not been on the platform long. I've been on the platform for donkey's years, right? I've been on the platform since like 6 months after LinkedIn launched. But some of these people are coming out of nowhere. Like a year ago, some of those people in that top 10, they weren't even posting on LinkedIn. So any of you, including myself, can go from nothing to being a top creator on the platform and getting lots of following. But all of them say that the commenting aspect, which is what we've talked about today, has been a huge part of their strategy. So, right, that is us done for today. I hope you found this super helpful. I've loved delivering this one because it's not something I've talked about a lot recently. So remember, commenting is the new content in 2023. Please type one thing if you're still here. One thing, one big action you're going to take off the back of today's webinar. Whatever it may be. I'm hoping that you're going to start commenting more, but give me some numbers, give me some targets. So more commenting is not quantifiable. So I am going to post 10 comments a day, 5 comments a day, whatever it is. Thank you. That's better. Nice, nice, nice. Because if you just say, I'm going to do more commenting, like, you can't really measure that. So so either the number of comments you're going to do or the time spent you're going to give it, etc. Babysitting your posts. Nice. 10 comments a day. Love it, love it, love it. 5 posts a day, commenting, and post once every 3 days. Nice. Okay, perfect, Steve. Amazing. So thank you, everyone. I'm Sam Rathling, LinkedIn expert and social selling strategist. And remember, if you're not LinkedIn, you're totally linked out. Thank you for watching, everyone. For more information and free resources, you can check out the description below. And for more training like this one, you can register at pipeline44.com/LinkedIn training. See you next week.